Good afternoon, guys. Another Thursday night NFL Week 6 preview. I'm your host, Matt Gannon. It's going to be a solo show. The guest that I was supposed to have on couldn't make it, but I got a new guest, and it is no one else but my best friend, Dom Cinerino. Dom, thanks for joining me today.
What's going on? Switching it from golf to football, always good. Obviously, football's going on here. Still got the golf in your background, but ready for week 6.
I'm ready for Week 6. I mean, we've been excited to do a show like this together. I mean, we're like both football and golf guys at heart, but we had that preseason show, which went well, and now we're going to talk midseason. How has your football season gone thus far, betting wise, DFS wise?
Solid. Season-long fantasy, very solid across the
Fantasy too.
board. No horrible teams, but can't complain.
Yeah, I'm sitting at where I know we're in a league together. I think we're both 3-2, or
Yeah,
at least something like that. That's a tough league. There's some good names in that league where it's fairly competitive. I'm not sure who. I mean, I know Rob G's 5-0, but I think anyone can take that league home. It'll be fun, that league.
yeah, absolutely. I took a little too many rookies in that league, paying the price now, but they're
How many leagues are you in,
uh 9 serious ones.
and how many not serious ones?
Uh, 1 or 2 that I don't set the lineup. So like 9 that I actively check. I've learned over the
9?
years that 5 is my like true limit.
Yeah, most people's true limit is like 2.
Yeah. So it's a decent
9 is
balance,
insane.
but it definitely takes away from like being able to really focus on everything, especially watching the Vikings for whatever slate they're on.
Right, but like I know from playing fantasy football my whole life, like it takes time to set a lineup. You have to do 9. Like I mean I'm looking at it every day, like all week, waivers, waiver Tuesday,
Yeah.
then setting it Wednesday, Thursday. Like you gotta do a lot of work.
Yeah, and I don't think it's I mean, like I said, my teams are pretty solid, but I have 3 or 4 leagues with Fab, and I still haven't spent a single dollar, and I haven't used the
Is it out of
waiver to
laziness
connect
or
my
is
leagues
it like
either. So in the league I'm in with you, I'm kind of saving it for a big waiver to come up because there hasn't been anything crazy, and I don't like you spending it on a guy that I don't really need. So
no?
we'll
I
see.
I agree with what you're saying. All right, let's dive into Thursday night football. I mean, I hate to say it, like this game is low total. Commanders Bears. It doesn't get much worse than this, to be honest, from a visual watching football standpoint. But we gotta play what we're given. Dom, what's your thoughts on this game? And we'll give a little, since this is a standalone game, we'll give a little showdown input too. So, what's your thoughts on this game? I,
So
I saw your showdown lineup, by the way. So elaborate on that when you can.
yeah, I mean, working third shift now, so I was like, might as well start looking at the showdown slate. Yeah, not the best game we could have gotten on Thursday Night Football. I wouldn't imagine it's going to be as bad as last week, um,
Yeah.
but we'll see. I mean, these low point totals can be very tricky. 38. I don't think I really want to mess with it, but I almost want to go with the over just because I feel like the under just makes so much sense after recency bias of people seeing what happened last week. I mean, 2 of the bottom 6 teams in the NFC tonight on what is one of the worst grass fields in the
Yeah.
NFL. Like, it's just going to be a disgusting game altogether. But at the same time, I don't love either defense. So I could also see it being like a sloppy shootout that gets over 38 in a heartbeat. Like, we could see halftime be like 2017. And you're like, well, we're already set. Like, that wouldn't shock me at all.
Yeah, this game is just ugly. I mean, DraftKings had this game at pick 'em for a while. It went to Bears -1 last night, and now it's Commanders -1 this morning. So a lot of weird line movement. I saw some of the money splits. Like it doesn't always happen where I'd bring that up, but it was definitely significant. It was weird money splits in this game. I think the Commanders will get it done on the road here.
I do
Um,
too.
yeah, I didn't bet it. It was one of my like last games off the slate, or at least that I haven't bet yet. So I do think the Commanders get it done tonight. I teased them up to 6, but I didn't have enough willingness to play a -1 or just put it on my slate. So
Yeah.
besides that, I think they're going to win. But talk to me a little bit about that lineup you made.
Yeah, showdown wise, I always like getting a running back or wide receiver in the captain spot on DraftKings at least. FanDuel's a little bit different with the half point PPR. You can make a quarterback make more sense, but usually a big game from a receiver will do the trick. Like the Millie winner last week on Thursday night
It's
had
Alec
Alec
Pierce,
Pierce
right?
in the captain spot,
Yeah.
2 kickers, both defenses, and Cortland Sutton. Solo win, single bullet. Like that doesn't happen. He had to have left 5 to 8K on the table, I would imagine.
I think it
But
was a lot more than that. I saw
yeah,
it was an
yeah,
insane
because
amount.
all the kickers in D are under 5K, and Pierce wasn't a whole lot. So crazy things can happen. I think people are going to try and go that route tonight. I'm not taking both defenses and both kickers. Captain spot, I'm using either Terry McLaurin or Darnell Mooney. I think both of them have an advantage here. One bet that I have that's I'm a little hesitant on, but not completely. I got Brian Robinson under 61.5 rush plus receiving yards. I think he's going to be
I do like
extremely
that.
popular in showdown. So if you want to fade him, you will have some type of advantage. But for me, 61.5 rush plus receiving, obviously named the starter tonight, getting a lot of buzz. I'm still kind of under the assumption that this is going to be a 3-headed monster between him, McKissick, and Gibson.
Gibson.
Just like what we saw last week. Snap counts. McKissick had 26, Gibson 20, Robinson 18. And I know that was Robinson's first game back, but he still led the team with 9 rush attempts, under 2.5 yards a carry. Didn't record a single target. So that's the reason I added the plus receiving yards to get that extra 10. Caesars has the best number there, minus 108. He's favored to go over in all of his props because people are just hammering it since the news of him being the starter. Obviously, his unbelievable comeback. Like, I'm not taking anything away from him. It's weird seeing like 3 running backs all play 20 snaps exactly. And I don't know. I don't see them completely phasing out Gibson and McKissick just in the blink of an eye, especially on a short week.
No, I agree. I think this is going to be a big game for Carson Wentz. You want to go FanDuel showdown. We saw Carson Wentz through 2 or 3 weeks. He was a top 3 quarterback
Yeah.
fantasy wise, just because all of the passing attempts he was making led to yards and touchdowns. So he's definitely not a top 3 quarterback in the NFL, but he's a decent fantasy quarterback, especially when I start playing from behind. I don't think they'll play from behind here, but he's playing a defense that's not great. I think Carson Wentz, especially on a Thursday night, like that's his jam. So I
Yeah.
think Carson Wentz is a decent play here. And at the end, I think the Commanders will get it done. So anything else in this game, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I mean, I saw the Bears firsthand versus the Vikings last week. They were all over them early, and I saw that defense get exposed. Washington, we've obviously seen get exposed a lot. So, like I said, there could be some scoring here.
All right, well, we'll move on to Tampa at Pittsburgh. I don't know how you back the Steelers here, even though they're at home, but
Yeah.
it's an 8-point spread. They were 14-point dogs on the road last week against the Bills, and doesn't matter where that game was. They were never covering 14 against the Bills. I don't really know how they're going to stay within one possession against the Bucs.
I don't either. And I looked at their projected win total for the rest of the season early this morning. It's at 4.5. I mean, that's going to put them inside the top 5, 6, 7 in the NFL draft. So it'll be crazy to see how Pickett progresses and what they do with him moving forward. But I don't see how you can take the +8. I mean,
Right.
it's a weird line. Obviously, Tampa hasn't looked fantastic by any means, but I just don't know what Pittsburgh's bringing to the table. I mean, really, until they get TJ Watt back, he can change a game.
Different team,
himself.
literally a different team.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Pickens, I like quite a bit for DFS. He's played at least 70% of the snaps in every single game this year. So has Claypool and Deontay. It's just those 3 guys they're running out on just about every single play. Betting wise, I got Pickens over 45.5 on MGM. I think that's pretty low.
Solid.
Before he was even like crazily involved, his number was still like 32 to 37 yards. So getting it at 45.5 yards, is that at least 6 catches for 80 or more yards in each of the last 2 weeks. Over the last 2 weeks, he ranks 4th amongst all wide receivers in air yards behind Adams and both Seahawks guys. So, I mean, Tampa's defense isn't the easiest matchup on paper, but 3 of the last 4 games, they've allowed at least 2 receivers to go over that 45.5. MVS and Juju did it. Cobb and Dobbs did it, and then Michael Thomas and Olave did it. So could be Claypool, could be Deontay with them, but I think Pickens gets there.
No, I like your Pickens call, especially at 4-6. And you got to think they're going to be
Yeah,
playing from behind this game. They're going to be throwing the ball. The thing that worries me is they weren't even able to get it done on garbage time last week, which is like, if you can't do it then, like that should be easy fantasy points.
yeah.
They couldn't do it with Bill's backups on the field. I think this is I mean, this is we're getting lucky because this is the same line as the Bucks Falcons, or at least by a point or point and a half. And the Bucks were controlling that game for 3.5 quarters, and then they let the Falcons backdoor. But I don't know if that was a Bucks problem or was that just the Falcons being feisty because they did the exact same thing in LA at the Rams.
Right.
So I think this might be a spot where a gift line, because if this game was what in 5 weeks, it's Bucks minus 12.5.
Yeah.
So maybe Bucks minus 8. I might be talking to myself on them here. I've made 3 bets so far, and I'll get to them when I get to them. But I have not touched this game at all. But yeah,
I don't think I want to. This seems somewhat of a trap line because obviously Tampa hasn't looked good. Steelers, I mean, could it happen? Sure. But after last week, you would think this would be 9.5, 10.
Yeah, no, I agree. We will move on to Baltimore heads to Jersey to play the Giants. 5.5 point favorites. I feel like should be more in the 4.5 to 4 range, just based off how the Giants have been playing thus far. But it still seems like a decently fair line. Are the Giants a live dog? I don't know if they can win this game outright, but they beat the Packers in London. The Ravens are 14 seconds away from being 5-0.
Yeah.
They are a good team. They kind of have the AFC North to themselves right now. I mean, the Browns are also 5 points from being 5-0. They've lost by combined five or 6 points. But I think the Ravens get it done here. I'm definitely not going to lay the 5.5. I do think the Ravens win. What's your take on this game?
Yeah, Giants are 4-1 against the spread this year. I hate the travel time from London, and I was weary about it with the Vikings last week, which is why I kind of stayed away, and they didn't end up covering. Saints had the travel time too, but it's like the Packers and Giants both opted to play this week. When you play in London, you kind of get the choice. Hey, do you want the bye week the next week, or do you want to pass? And being as early as those 2 games were, all 4 teams passed, which I thought was kind of insane given how much it changes your week and your sleep
They
schedule.
both won so far, though.
Everything like that, right. So, like I said, Saints and Vikings both got it done last week after coming back. So maybe it's not as big as an issue as I'm making it out to be. It's kind of like golf when there's a Euro event and they come back into the States. It's always in the back of your mind. I like the Ravens minus 5.5, but another one that I'm probably not touching, if anything, under 45.
Under 45. I pulled up Rashad Bateman because he was a guy that I started in fantasy a decent amount of weeks, and I traded for before he got hurt, which I didn't realize. It says he hasn't practiced. He didn't practice on Thursday, which is unfortunate. But I love Bateman because he's such a downfield threat. He gets 170-yard pass a game. Like it's like every time he's played, he's gotten like a bomb every single game, and I love that upside because if you get that one long touchdown, you're in for a great week.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's still questionable. If you want to go with Duvernay because he has a similar role, I guess, when Bateman's gone. But like Ravens receivers are always kind of scary to play, but they're cheap. They're priced where they are for a reason, and they have upside on a weekly basis. The Giants defense is not bad by any means, but
No,
I don't know. I was trying to talk myself into one of these Ravens receivers, but I wouldn't say I love it. Maybe in a flex spot if you have some leftover cash, but I wouldn't say I hate it. I'm kind of in the middle on these Ravens receivers, but there's some weeks, if you've listened to the past few weeks, I was really high on Bateman. That week he had like 2 catches for like 110 yards on a touchdown because he gets 1 bomb a game. So that's my thoughts on that game. Anything else here?
Duvernay's priced as if Bateman's going to miss, which even if he does, you're not getting like an extreme value at $4,700. I don't think. I would just stay away from that receiver room altogether. If Bateman misses, it just gives Andrews a little bit of a spike because 7K. I mean, you got to find value elsewhere, but what Andrews is able to do, especially without Bateman, is worth the price.
Yeah, Andrews is a stud. All right, we will move on to San Francisco at Atlanta. I think this line is so trappy that Falcons just are going to win. That's how trappy I think the line is.
Yeah,
Like,
I
like
agree.
what? What?
And the thing is, like, they've stayed in every single game. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't
Back like they
think
like
they're
late though,
great, but
fourth
they've
quarter, fourth
literally
quarter.
stayed in every single game. 5-0 against the spread. They haven't looked fantastic, but like should have
They're
beat
not.
Tampa last week. Week 2, they had the Rams on the ropes at the end, just out of nowhere. And I like the 49ers, well-coached team. You know what they're going to come in and do. But it's a little bit of a trap.
Back-to-back NFC South road games for the 49ers. Did they go back home is the real question. I mean, they definitely did, but
Yeah.
so I don't that's a factor. I think this is a major stay away for me because I can see the Falcons blowing them out. I mean, I could see the 49ers blowing them out just because the Falcons aren't going to cover every spread. And then at the same time, I can see back-to-back road NFC South games, Falcons keep this one close and have a field goal late to win the game.
Yeah.
I think major stay away. And with that being said, so many different outcomes. I don't want to touch anything fantasy for this game.
Falcons money line.
Why not? Yeah, have fun with it. I don't really have anything to say here. Any players you want to give a shout to in this game or stay away?
Let's see the pricing.
I'll scroll.
I mean, you're not getting a whole lot of value anywhere. 44.5. I think I I don't love the pace of either of these teams. I think it could be a fairly slow, boring game. And like you said, San Fran going to Carolina and then back and then to
To
Atlanta,
Atlanta.
like that's a lot. One
It's a lot.
one road trip like that is a lot, let alone back
That's
to
why I
back.
was on Carolina +6 last week. I was like, all right, Monday night big win against the Rams. Primetime short week against I mean off the short week primetime in
Yeah,
NFC South. They're gonna keep it close. And then I'm a Panthers fan, as you know, and it was
right.
just we're a joke. So is what it is. I'm staying away from this game. We will move
Agree.
on to the Jets and the Packers. Packers off of I didn't watch this game. I was on a plane, but I checked the score at half and I was like, oh, Packers, they're gonna win my money line parlay. They somehow lost the game. And now they head to the Jets they're home versus the Jets. What is your thoughts on this game?
Like I said earlier, another London trip, but I would assume the Packers cover and figure it out. They've looked horrible. Lost to the Giants in London, obviously. Probably should have lost to New England at home the week prior. I'm not impressed with the Jets. I know they won last week and are looking better than some people expected, but at the same time, you're going to Lambeau Field. I think the
Yeah.
Packers could win by double digits.
Yeah. At one point in the season, we're gonna get a Lazard 40-point game. He's done it when he's had Devontae Adams in on the team. Now he's by himself, obviously. I feel like we're just gonna get one of those massive Lazard games. This happens like twice in the past 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
So are we due for that? I don't want to call a big shot on Alan Lazard, but he's really the only I wouldn't even say legit. I don't even think he's like that good, but Rodgers makes him look good. So I think Lazard could be due for a big game. He's never going to be that highly owned. I think he's like a safe play at 6 flat. You want to play him with Rodgers, go ahead. I don't hate that against his Jets defense, which is they're vulnerable to give up a lot of points. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm in line with you on the Packers getting it done here, covering. I teased them down to 2.5 or 2, something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think they're a safe leg survivor, safe leg money line parlay. I mean, I said that last week against the Giants, and I kind of ate my money. So, is
Yeah.
what it is. We will move on to your Vikings. I'll let you take this one. Vikings head to Miami, 3.5-point favorites. I am the biggest person on saying never bet 3-point road favorites. But what's your thoughts here?
I'm probably taking it.
You have to. You're a Vikings fan.
I usually stay away from Viking games. I rarely bet them actually, but if I had my money somewhere and Skylar Thompson is in fact the starter, which we still have to monitor. Like I don't trust Mike McDaniels and what he's saying, but that line is based off of Thompson being the starter, and I think
All
it
right.
should
Here's
be a
today
little
at
bit higher.
10:30. Non-contact participant at Thursday's practice.
Yep.
So we'll monitor. We'll see.
And
But
then what's Tua's status? Because there's
Tua's
been
report back at practice on Wednesday, but he won't be active for the game.
right.
Okay.
So I don't think it makes a huge difference, Teddy versus Skylar
No.
Thompson.
No,
Obviously, a little bit of an advantage playing the rookie.
I disagree. I think Tua versus Teddy is not a huge difference, but
I don't.
Skyler's a
Yeah, I
massive
agree with
difference.
that.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same
All
guy.
right, maybe that's what you're trying to say. I think Skyler is. If Skyler's playing, I don't know how big into college football you are. My man was literally like
Not very.
a Taysom Hill, Tim Tebow. Like he was a running back. He was like a big quarterback who ran the ball at Kansas State. Like a solid college quarterback who like got the job done and hit his passes. But he was a body who ran the ball. And I don't like. We saw him last week at the Jets. Like he's not an NFL caliber
Was he like
quarterback.
a
He's
5, 6 year guy? Because he's a 25 year
yes,
old rookie.
he was there for a long time. Yes. So
So
I liked him while he was at Kansas State, but I didn't even realize he was on an NFL roster, to be honest, until I was like, Skylar Thompson, this dude was a stud at Kansas State, but he's not a quarterback, NFL pocket passer.
yeah,
He
it's
was a straight
rare
like
that you get to your third guy, but the Dolphins did. Waddle and Hill were both limited to an extent this week, which
yeah.
they're both going to play, but at the same time, they're not 100%. Teron Armstead, I'm not sure what his status is, but I know he was he left the game last week. Xavier Howard was limited this week.
That's the big one I care
Blake
about,
was
Xavier
limited.
Howard.
Like their injury report is a book. And
Yeah.
like I said, if you get Skylar Thompson, 3.5 might not even be enough.
Yeah, I think Xavier Howard's huge too. If he's out, that's going to be a big. It was a big loss last week. The Jets
Yeah.
put up a 40 spot on him.
Right.
So if Xavier Howard's out again, I think that's huge. So therefore, follow that Xavier Howard news. If Xavier Howard's out, load your team up with Vikings. And I love the Vikings offense. I bet him. Love the. We talked about it preseason. I think the Vikings are going to win the NFC North. I thought it preseason, and you convinced me to get on it. I have a lot of Vikings prop this year, a lot of Vikings liability. It's going well so far. So I think this is another week they can show what that Kevin O'Connell offense can do against a banged up
And
secondary.
I'm still not thrilled with what I've seen.
Yeah.
4-1. I can't complain with 4-1, but I still like they beat
I agree.
a Bears team and Lions team at home, who how I thought of those two heading into the year, and then a beat up Saints team in London. So
yeah,
it's
that game made me. I was on my biggest straight bet of the season was Vikings -2.5 in London. I was lucky because they should not have won the game. They
shouldn't have won at all. They
insane.
it's like Zimmer never left because they keep letting teams back in. Like the Bears should have had no business taking the lead last week.
Yeah, like they were up like 21-0 in a second, and then it was just gone.
Yep.
All right. Well, monitor that injury report. I'm thinking if Xavier Howard and the defense is banged up, no matter what the offense case is for Miami, load your team up with some Vikings. We will move on to Cincinnati, heads to New Orleans. I feel like this spread is very, very, very fair. 2 points on the road against the Saints. The Bengals haven't looked like themselves. They literally don't have an offensive line. And my take of the Bengals not taking Penny Sewell is kind of resurging again. It was like the worst take ever because Jamar Chase was the GOAT. And now it's showing. And I'm happy because I was like, that was my die on the hill take for like that NFL season. Then passing on Sewell. And I was like, hand up, I'm wrong. Jamar Chase is a stud. But it's coming back now. I think they should have taken Sewell still.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be debated for years.
Yeah.
You would think you can replace a guy like that, but clearly not as easy as it looks. Bengals -2 is my favorite spread pick of the week.
Okay. Tell me.
I think their winning streak starts now. They've obviously had the Super Bowl hangover, starting to.
My thing for the Cardinals, by the way.
Just one game out of the AFC North. Favorable schedule coming up. They got Atlanta at home next week, then go to Cleveland, Carolina at Pittsburgh. The receiver room for the Saints is concerning. Thomas and Landry did not practice today. Olave returned for the media portion or whatever. Taysom Hill, I don't know how teams haven't figured him out yet, but clearly an issue for any team that he comes across. Like every time he came in London versus the Vikings, which he didn't come in much. He's playing like less than 30% of snaps every single week, but breaking big runs, scoring touchdowns, and teams can't figure it out. Like he's not going to throw the ball. He's not going to beat you deep.
No.
Stack the box against him and let him throw.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Someone released him in my league this week. I'm trying to get him in the tight end slot, but we will see. It's a 14-man league, so that'd be huge to get the tight end in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would lean for the Bengals here as well. Haven't made any play on this game yet, but you seem to be pretty adamant about it. Maybe I will follow you there. Yeah. So any other thoughts on this game, DFS wise, or
No, I got nothing. What's Taysom's price on here?
Taysom is 5-1, fair.
Yeah,
But you're looking at that price, you're looking
I
for
wouldn't
him to
touch
do
him
exactly
at
what he
that.
did last week. And
Right.
I mean, will he do that? Like you don't. He's shown many times before he can. So I don't know if I want to get there. So we will move on to the next game on the slate, a game that I actually have a bet on, one of my 3 bets placed this week. Patriots head to hold on, let me pull up this slate. Patriots head to Cleveland. I bet Cleveland first half money line. And I was gonna bet the 2.5, but then as I was writing my write-up for this game, I was like, Cleveland is 6 points away from being undefeated. They coming off of a game that they were one position away from winning against the Chargers. They're at home again. And the Patriots are on a road after a massive win against the Lions with either A, quarterback coming off of an injury, or B, a rookie who's never had a road start before. I think they're gonna look flat out the gates. / the Browns are gonna kind of come out hot out the gates after what's recently happened to them. I took the Browns first half money line, and I don't want to sell you on any Browns player specifically. I just think this is a good spot for the Browns to come out hot and get on the board early, possibly win this game and probably cover the 2.5. I want to take the first half money line.
Yeah, I like first half money line quite a bit. I like the over quite a bit in this one as well.
Yeah.
Browns have went over their point total in every single game but one this year, and the Patriots in their last 3 went over in everyone but last week where they shut out the Lions. I don't think they're going to shut out the Browns in Cleveland, but
Yeah, I definitely don't think
43
they're
and
going
a
to
half
shut off
pretty low.
because Jacoby Brissett has been more than a backup quarterback. He solidified himself to be a high-end backup for the next X amount of years with what he's doing so far this season. And obviously he's not going to start once Deshaun comes back, but he's doing more than enough to get the job done. And he's like objectively one of the I wouldn't even call him a bad NFL starting quarterback in today's NFL. Like he's a legit like playing good football. And he's done that his whole career as the backup. Did it for Brady, did it for wherever he was in Indy, did it now he's doing it again. So I like Jacoby Brissett. I like this Browns to come out early. You don't really have anyone you want to talk about fantasy wise because I don't in this game at all.
Stevenson's going to be popular, but
Yeah.
I will not fade him. Like he
No.
averages over 5 yards a carry over the course of his career. Last week had 25 for 161, over 6.5 yards a carry. 2 or more catches in 4 of his 5 games this year. Like with Damian Harris likely sidelined, I mean, Stevenson's a lock. What's his price this week? Can you scroll up a little?
Stevenson is 6.
That's fair.
Yeah, man. Look at the difference in running backs and like
Go to all running backs. Where does he rank in terms of like
Stevenson?
6?
He's
Wow.
fairly down there. Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be extremely popular, especially with that 27th opponent's rank next to it, which I think DraftKings should completely take off because I don't like that. But
no, I agree. All right. Stevenson, I think that's a good play as well. We will move on to Jacksonville and Indianapolis. And this is my second bet that I have. I'm on my last straw with the Colts, and I am putting my money where my mouth is. I was decently high on the Colts preseason. And if you told me in week 6, that the Colts were going to be 2-point home favorites versus the Jaguars, I would have wagered a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Colts have looked different than we thought they were going to look this far in the season. We saw them beat the Chiefs, though, and we've seen them look horrendous like they did last week. So I'm just going back to my preseason thoughts. I never would have thought they only been favored by 2 at home against the Jags. They still have the division to win. It's still in control.
Oh, yeah.
They control their own destiny. They got to get going at some point. Matt Ryan is clearly showing he's aging and is not the guy, but I think they still have a good core defensively, offensively to cover the spread and beat up on football teams, and football teams meaning the Jaguars. So I'm playing Colts -2. It was the first bet I made all week.
I'm with you. This is another one of my favorite bets of the week. Weird that they're playing each other for the second time in the middle of October.
I forgot about that too. That makes it even better for me.
Jags beat them 24-0 in week 2, where they were 3-point underdogs at home. I don't know who does the NFL schedule, but how can you have a divisional opponent play each other 2 times in 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's a little
Especially
sketchy.
this early. Like, it happens at the end of the season sometimes, but
Yeah.
you don't even really have an identity by week 6
No.
sometimes.
This is sketchy for sure.
So, a little bit
Yeah.
weird, but
I
I like the
totally forget
Colts to
about that.
bounce back and get a win. I don't think they'll get shut out like they did in week 2, but fantasy-wise, ETN slowly chipping away at
Yeah.
the James Robinson. Alec Pierce is obviously someone to look at. Rookie had a massive game on Thursday night, despite it being a really slow game.
Hmm.
Taylor is going to be back.
Yeah. Well, he's going to be back limited at practice, but you're telling me you're getting Taylor as the fourth price running back.
On
That's
the
a very
slate,
rare thing.
right? And then
I
Barkley 5th.
Yeah, that too. I think that is. Will he be popular at that price? Maybe, but people might be scared that he's hurt. But like I said, I think the Colts are due to
What's the
have it
status of
legit
Naheem
for
Hines
Naheem Hines. Good. Oh man, he
after
almost like
concussion?
died last game. Yeah, that was insane. Hines
Because I know the concussion's been
limited.
weird.
Yeah,
Limited.
they've been like holding guys out. That we'll see with Hines, but either way, if Hines plays, doesn't really have anything to do with my
No.
Taylor take. If he's there, he's there. So we'll move on to the next game. I hope the Rams win this game by 70. I want the Panthers to keep losing. I think PJ Walker's starting this game.
Yeah.
The Rams have looked pretty bad, but I don't know if they are even bad enough to not cover this 10 against my Panthers on the road, but like whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Panthers. It's just so frustrating because I turn on the TV, I see Baker, I see Christian McCaffrey, I see DJ Moore, I see a legit defense that we have. Like we do have a good defense,
Yeah.
and then I see us just like look horrible. Is it a Matt Rule thing? We'll see this week, probably. And I don't even know what else to say. What's your take on this game?
I mean, both teams are 1-4 against the spread this year. Neither have looked good. You kind of explained the Cardinals, but what San Fran was able to do heading there, West Coast trip for Carolina this week. I think the Rams cover pretty easily. I'm not 100% confident in how good the Rams are, but I'm confident enough that they can cover the 9.5 versus PJ Walker and a head coach in his first game. So
Yeah.
I think those two things are enough to back the 9.5, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we will
I'm a
see.
PJ. I like PJ Walker.
Yeah,
I
Temple
enjoy watching him
guy.
play.
I like PJ Walker too. He's fun. XFL guy, Temple guy. He's there because of Matt Rule, but he got the job. So we'll move on to the next game. Arizona at Seattle. What's your take here?
Arizona, Seattle. I I think I want to go Arizona. Waiting for Hopkins to return next week, but we'll get there when we get there. The Seattle thing has to run out eventually.
It will. It will this
Arizona
week. It will
was
this week. I
right in
promise.
that game versus Philly at home last week.
Yep.
Seattle's a completely different team. I think Kyler Murray is going to absolutely expose them. I think he is very well in play. What's his price this week?
Kyler Murray is. Oh,
You're on running back.
I'm on running backs. Kyler's 7-3.
73. I
Most
mean,
expensive guy on the slate.
he
on this
should
game.
be fairly popular as well.
Yeah.
The last bet that I had a little write up on, tweeted it a little bit before the show. Eno Benjamin. I see
Yeah, I
him
saw that tweet.
in the mid 4s. He's over 23.5 receiving yards. Definitely a DFS play, but in terms of betting, I like the over 23.5 receiving yards. Obviously, all signs are pointing to James Conner missing week 6. Even if he does suit up, he'll be extremely limited if not just an emergency guy, but it looks like he could miss this week and a couple more. Eno's had at least 3 catches and 20 receiving yards in every game that he's played, 30% of the snaps. Obviously, I think with or without Connor, he's going to get well over 30%. Cardinals face Seahawks defense, who's given up the 6th most fantasy points to the running back position. Kamara, I don't want to compare Kamara as a receiver to Eno, but 91 receiving yards last week just tore them up. And the Cardinals have made an attempt to scheme up Eno in the receiving game to an extent. Wasn't crazy efficient in terms of receiving last season, but showing some consistency this year. So I like Eno quite a bit. this week as a running back option. Actually, both running backs in this game are going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, I love Arizona this week. They're my third and final bet I made on the slate. And like I said earlier, I rarely will ever play a 3-point road favorite, especially in division. But I was heavy on the Cardinals +5 last week. I had them to finish a underdog money line parlay last week too. And I think we were a Kyler Murray slide away from cashing that parlay. He
Yeah,
slid too early, brought on the rookie kicker, missed it wide right. Um, we see every single season, at least the past, 2, 3, the Cardinals go on an early to mid-season run, and everyone's like, oh, God, the Cardinals are here. The Cardinals are a good team. And then it comes down in December. I think we are in line for that again. The Cardinals to create
yeah,
some more buzz, and they are still up for this division. The Rams aren't nothing. 49ers are legit, but they're still in pace with the 49ers. So I think the Rams come alive. That loss hurt last week against the Eagles, who were the best team in the league, I guess, record-wise, and they had them right on the ropes. They could have won. So I think the Cardinals are going to come out, and before you know it, the Seahawks will lose 5 straight games. I promise you. I think they are in that mix right now. They'll lose their second straight. So I'm thinking we take advantage of this soft line because after that 5-game losing streak, after both of these teams go opposite directions, this line is going to would triple the next time they play. So take advantage of the soft line. Lay the 2.5 or 3. I got 3 for those Cardinals in week 6.
yeah. I mean, the Geno Smith thing's going to run out. As much as people don't want to believe it, it is. There's a reason he's as old as he is and peaking at this point in his career.
Yeah,
Rondale Moore is very interesting as well. Saw 8 targets last week, 5 the week before. Was
42.
dealing with an injury early on. Could be the last week. He's extremely
Yeah.
relevant with Hopkins coming back. I mean, I think they're still going to kind of use him as a guy to do end arounds and use him in the slot. But at the same time, no Hopkins, Rondale, it's your last time to play him. So if you're stacking anyone with Kyler Murray, I don't hate Kyler, Eno, and Rondell, or if you just want to do Kyler and Rondell, I mean, depends.
You
David
got me
Bell,
looking at David Bell when you brought up Rondale Moore because him and Rondale Moore were on the same college team, and
yeah,
David Bell was objectively much better. I mean, no, I think David Bell was a lot better, and I thought he was gonna have a better NFL career. But I mean, it's still like what, a season in, so I can't. We'll see what
and
that happens.
Rondell that COVID year, right?
Yeah, he did. They were sick at Purdue. They were
Yeah,
sick, and the quarterback's still there. If you want to bet on
was he
Purdue,
a 6th, 7th year COVID guy too, like Skyler?
Aiden O'Connell, he's old. Yeah. We will move on to, okay, I'll pose a question here
Okay,
before we get into this game. Can you, if you want to win the $1 million, you want to win a GPP, it doesn't have to be the $1 million. Can you completely fade this game
no,
and still be on top? Okay.
no.
No. High total, lightning offenses, rematch of the game of the year, 2.5-point road favorites. What are we doing here?
I think it's tough.
Appointment television. That's what this
I
game
like
is.
I like the Chiefs to cover. I don't love what I've seen. Obviously, the Bills doing that to the Steelers last week showed me quite a bit. I mean, I didn't think the Bills were going to lose for quite a while, and we saw that a couple weeks ago somehow, some way. But I don't know. Like you said, you can't fade this, and if you take a lot of
Gotta
1
pick your
o'clock
spots.
guys and head into the 4 o'clocks with nobody in this game, you're gonna drop off pretty quick. The green's gonna go away very quick
Yeah.
because neither of these teams can stop anyone. I mean, the Bills' defense is solid. I'm not going to take that away from them, but it's different when you're playing Mahomes in Kansas City.
Yeah, and like it sucks because they're high priced and they're gonna be very popular, especially those Bills guys, because like you said, you see that green 26. So is it you take as many Chiefs guys as you can? Is that what you have to do? Because you get if you're saying you can't play this game. I mean, you can't fade this game. You might have to take a bunch of Chiefs guys. I don't know, stack them both. I think that's why it's tough. Like I don't want to play this game because they're expensive and they're going to be so popular. But like if you want to win, you might have to,
I know.
which is
I mean, Diggs comes to mind right away. I don't love any Chiefs receiver. I never do.
no.
Kelsey just scored 4 touchdowns in one of the weirdest stat
On
lines
on
I've
like
ever
5
seen in my
receptions,
life.
yeah, 25 yards,
Um,
something stupid like that.
I don't know. I don't know. The quarterbacks are both pretty expensive. Um,
Yeah,
it's going to be
it's
tough
tough.
to do like a full stack,
Is
but I
it
think you
Pacheco
want
time? It
some
might be.
exposure.
Oh, that's McKenzie.
Sure.
I meant to click on Pacheco. I
Oh,
love it. I love
Pacheco.
Pacheco.
I like him
Yeah.
too, but I don't think it's
And
time yet.
no, but I feel like one time in his career, he's gonna have a literal Tyreek Hill game because he looks exactly like Tyreek Hill on the field. He's gonna return a punt and then have like a 75-yard post to like and have a massive game. But yeah, I think this game's gonna be so fun to watch. I mean, rematch of the best game of the year last year. So I don't want to say who actually I'll say who I think is gonna win. I think the Bills are gonna get revenge. I'm not gonna bet it though. Just not gonna bet it.
Yeah,
All right,
I don't love it at all. And
yeah.
about the whole stacking that game thing real quick, I think it's like Kelsey Diggs end of list for the most part. I mean, you can get cute and go with Juju or MVS, but you don't see like a massive snap share from any of these guys. You don't
MVS
see
showed a
a
little life
massive
last
target
week.
share from any of these guys outside of Diggs and Kelsey. So I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. We'll move on to Sunday Night Football. Should be a fun one. Cowboys and Eagles. What do we got going on here in Philly? A big weekend for Philly sports. They got the Flyers opening night. They got 2 playoff games, and then they got the Eagles. So if you're a Philly sports fan, have a weekend.
Yeah, big weekend in Philly. As much as I want Dallas to win this game outright and push Philly down for once in the NFC standings for the Vikings' sake, I don't see it. I think Philly's going to cover fairly easily. I know Dak returned to practice. Don't expect him to return. Cooper Rush is eventually going to lose, right?
No, maybe never ever in his NFL career. 17-0 for the next 5 seasons.
Could, yeah.
He
You heard it here
could.
first. The Cooper
Seems
Rush
pretty
whisperer.
legit. Cam Tringali and Cooper Rush, my 2
Yep,
guys.
studs.
Studs, absolute studs. No, I don't really I kind of agree with you here. Um, if you told me I have way too much money on Cowboys futures this year, all wrapped up in NFC and Super Bowl. And after that week 1 against the Bucks where it just looked horrible, I was like, damn, that's just a loss automatically. No more Dak. You tell me they're at this record with Cooper Rush and Dak hasn't even played yet. I'm
Yeah.
optimistic. I'm optimistic. I don't think they're going to win this week, especially with Cooper. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it within 6.5, though. Philly's been
That defense is
vulnerable, but
tough.
Philly's been and they've been doing. Dallas' defense has been doing it all like up front, and this is objectively the best offensive line they've played all season, or they will play all season. I don't expect Micah to be the force that he is, but if Micah has a career game, lock up Depoy for Micah. If he has it against this Philly O line, lock it up. So he might already have it locked up. Lock it up if he does it this week. I think the defense takes a little bit of a step back because that Philly offensive line, we know what their weapons are. Their
Yeah,
offensive line is legit. So
it is.
I think that Philly gets it done. I'm not willing to lay the 6.5. I would probably lean it, but I'm not willing to lay it. You can go with those Philly receivers. They obviously have great upside. Jalen Hurts has been a stud. And then elsewhere, I don't know if you want to chase it with a Cowboy because you don't know really what you're getting from the quarterback. Zeke's been nothing. But besides that, I don't really have a take on fantasy wise.
Where's AJ Brown priced? How much
What is
further ahead of
AJ
Smith is
Brown
he?
price? The 7.3.
73 compared to 62.
62.
I
For
think
Devon, you
Smith,
got
depending on
to go
how
with
Showdown
Devontae.
shakes out, Smith is a solid captain option. He's had 11 or more targets in 2 of his last 3 games, playing more
He's due
snaps
too.
than
He's
AJ
due for a big
Brown.
one. He's due for a big one.
So he scored 1 touchdown this season, so it's like
Yeah.
maybe he's due.
Yeah, I
But
think he
in
is.
this one, CeeDee Lamb or Smith as your captain, I would say, and move
Yeah,
on from there.
I agree. Yes, especially for Showdown because it's a primetime game. All right. Final game on this slate. We're getting to see the Broncos for the first time in primetime this year. I know everyone's been wanting to see them in primetime, but the NFL's like, no, we'll wait till this week. So,
Just an
first primetime
exciting
game,
team. Yeah,
Broncos. Exciting
finally on
team.
display.
They've been scoring a lot of points this year. Russ has looked awesome. The fans love him in Denver. Going to be a tough one against Chargers. What do you think is going to happen here?
This is one of the
I'm joking, by the way. If you're watching this, you'd be like, "This kid's clueless." That was very sarcastic. Keep going.
all that considered, I think this line is such a big trap that the Broncos cover and potentially win.
I did the show with Feinberg last week, and he was so nervous that the Broncos, he kind of is manifesting this. He was like, the Broncos are going to look like shit tonight against the Colts. And then next week, everyone's going to bet the Chargers, and the Broncos are going to look like they have the best offense ever and beat the Chargers. That's why I'm scared of this game. I don't want to touch it because I can see it as like a passionate fan, like he is. Like I would be the same way. And like when you look at the Broncos' names on the roster, like offensively at least, you're like, okay, this team should have firepower. It's Nathaniel Hackett holding them back, but like they haven't shown it. Are they gonna do it in primetime against the Chargers? Like probably not, but I could totally see it.
SoFi doesn't scare me like as a road game.
No, it's
Never
not a road
has.
game. It's not. It never will be a road game for either team.
And that
That's LA
sucks.
sports, though. No,
That sucks that St. Louis was taken and San Diego was taken because those were, I mean, St. Louis dwindled
St.
down.
Louis was. San Diego wasn't. California sports are.
That's
a little
true.
Bit,
yeah, that's true. But like you said, when Feinberg mentioned a lot of the money being on the Chargers, that's the way it's going. Nobody wants to bet Russell Wilson.
No.
Everyone's throwing them into the ground, burying them, like saying how horrible they are. For it to be only 5 points, and some of the decisions, like what was Staley doing with a minute left, going for it on 4th and 2 on his own side of the field?
I was like on my phone, like following the game because I was driving. I was like, "What is he doing? Like, what is going? Is this glitching?" Because he literally gave them the ball with a chance to win. Like they needed 5 more yards to have like a reasonable chance to make the field goal, and they still couldn't make that field goal. Stud. Like, what are we doing?
He actually has a very big leg, but I mean, if you're across midfield, you still don't do it. But you're on your own side of midfield, and you're only up 2. If you're up 3, I guess it's a little different because a field goal ties it, and you still have a chance. But like, you don't get that 4th and 2. Game should have been over.
You lose. I had the Chargers minus 2.5, like which is irrelevant because there was already an L unless they busted off a big run, even though it closed at 1.5, of course. So I was like just following it. I was Staley, you got to grow up. We know your stick is to be this aggressive 4th down, go for it. But like, there's a time and a place, man. I thought you figured it out. God damn.
I'm all for going for it, but when the game's on the line, and I also like going for it to win a ball game. Like if it's tight.
Not in your own 49.
Not on your own side of the 50. And when you're up by 2. Is that why you're saying the whole 2.5 point road favorites you don't like for the last week?
No, I mean, no, no. But historically, if you were to blindly bet 2.5 point road favorites that seem like they're the clearly better team, you just would be down a lot of money. So,
agree.
But
yeah, should have lost that one. Maybe it'll come back to him. Like your mind is going to go to Chargers -5 and a Chargers blowout, and the Chargers finally find it. Should get Keenan Allen back, hopefully, for the sake of me and our league, because I've been streaming my wide receiver 2 every single week. So that hasn't been fantastic, especially when DK Metcalf's my number 1 receiver. But Broncos +5, let's do it.
Yeah, my partner at Jersey T, he single game teases every primetime game. Last year he had a crazy record. This year we're starting a little slower, and I'm gonna make sure he gets to Broncos +11. I think it'll be 11.5 because I think that is safe. I think the 5 should be safe too. We'll see when that happens, but I think the Broncos could be in for show a little surprise this week. But that about wraps it up for our show. Shit. Meant to take you off. Any final thoughts? I had close you off real quick. Any final thoughts on NFL Week 6?
I just want the Vikings to play Skylar Thompson and let the rest.
Yeah, as soon as you find out that Skylar Thompson news, tweet it or text me because I will be right on it with you.
But
that line
I did see a tweet before this. Vikings are 8-2 against quarterbacks making their first start. Cooper Rush beat them last year. I remember 2-3 years ago, Mahomes was out with a concussion. Matt Moore beat them. Like, I have bad memories seeing guys in their first start. Not first, just backup quarterbacks in general. It doesn't have to be first start, but seeing that stat was alarming. Probably means the Vikings and Dolphins are going to tie since they're 8-8-2. But
Yeah, naturally.
no, I think we have an interesting week. Obviously, the normal primetime games, and then we get a gift at 4:25 with the Chiefs and Bills, which is probably going to be game of the year.
Yeah, so we got a fun weekend of football. We have like 4 top 25 college games on Saturday. I'm excited. You're excited. Dom, thank you very much for coming on the show. You guys know where to find us on Twitter. Feel free to reach out with any questions, and we will catch you next time. Peace out.
See ya.